That's a lovely port.
So good morning, everybody. I invite you to put names in the chat of anyone you're wanting to send healing energy to. And in a moment, we will, I'll put up the Misha Berach and we can mute ourselves and sing along if you choose to. Wait a second. I don't know why I'm having trouble. There we go. Okay, can you all see the Misha Berach? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Source of strength, bless
Bless the ones before us, help us find the courage
to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuge, wash they renewal of spirit, and then say Amen.
I don't know, Fran, I'm thinking we should just sing it ourselves and not even use the tape.
Yeah, it doesn't come out well, Fran. That tape is very spotty.
Oh,
Okay, that's good for me to know. I did not know that.
oh,
Fran, I can help you afterwards. You have to have something clicked on your Zoom in order to get the sound across well, but we can talk afterwards.
Okay, thank you. So today's, the Parsha for this week is Padukai. And in this Parsha, we have the completion of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. And leading up to the completion of the tabernacle, there's a full accounting of everything that was brought and a review of all of the adornments. And then the tabernacle is put together and we have the completion of that. And we have the completion of the book of Exodus. So this really was powerful for me in terms that it reminded me of three things that I want to share. And the first is this whole notion of taking an accounting. You know, that's like taking an inventory. And in the Parsha, the inventory was a reminder, a review of all the contributions that people had brought to the Mishkan. And you might remember that the people were instructed to bring from their heart. And they were bringing so many things for the building of the Mishkan that Moses had to tell them to stop bringing so much. So there was a lot to account for, right? So this whole notion of taking an inventory is interesting to me. I've noticed myself this week that I started taking an inventory of the things that are in my cupboard because I'm starting to get ready for Passover. And, you know, how much rice do I have in the house that I'd like to use up before next week or in 2 weeks? So that's one kind of an inventory, the inventory of our possessions. But there's also this other inventory that comes to mind for me during Passover. And that's, I'm cleaning house, I'm cleaning the cupboards. I need to clean my house too, my insides. So we can take an inventory of our lives. Am I living the way I aspire to? So that's another kind of inventory. So that was part of the accounting that came up for me. Another thing that came up for me was that everyone brought something. This notion that everyone has something to contribute. So some people brought things like gemstones and precious metals, and some people's offerings were much more modest, but it all mattered. So it wasn't the individual pieces that mattered so much, but what that individual piece was able to contribute to the whole, to the Mishkan. So this is a great example of the sum being greater than its parts, than the pieces that make it up. So that got me thinking about our personal gifts, and those can be our material gifts and our offerings from our, from ourselves. What are the gifts that I have to give? Any potential wisdom or talent or anything, and am I giving them freely? And my little gift is helpful to the whole, to all of society, presumably, or at least to my family. And then there's the third thing that really caught my attention is the whole arc of the book of Exodus. So the book starts with the Israelites as slaves, and the book ends with them as free people on a journey with the divine. And, this whole notion of journey is really important, and how things change while we're on our journey. Whatever that journey is, it could be a journey from here to there, physical places. But again, it could be something more of a spiritual nature, a spiritual journey. And I really do think that one of the things that we learn in the course of the book of Exodus is that the success of the journey relies on both the hard work of the individuals and the people and some faith. And I think that that's an important lesson. So when I put all three of these things together, it seems to me that the people needed to do something to feel the presence of this invisible God that was so in conversation with Moses, and that was guiding them. They needed to do something to feel that presence. And the building of the Mishkan served that purpose. This was going to be the home. And this presence would stay with them in this home. But it also served some other purposes that I think are really, really important. It brought people together to form a community. And it showed people that they could and maybe really needed to rely on one another. I can bring some thread and maybe weave, and you can bring some wood, and you can bring some gemstones, and you have the ability to figure out how to put it all together. And then we have this gorgeous, amazing Mishkan. So I believe that people being able to rely on one another helped people grow in faith and trust. They learned to trust one another. And as that trust grew, it was able to morph kind of into a trust that God would stay with them and God would be with them. And I think this kind of really expansive trust is faith. So I got curious about that word. According to dictionary.com, faith is confidence or trust in a person or thing. It's a belief that is not based on proof. So, you know, faith can be very difficult to understand. Alan Marinus in With Heart and Mind shares that what the intellect can grasp is called knowledge, and that faith is understanding or knowing on a spiritual rather than an intellectual plane. And he says, and I'm quoting here, spiritual reality is beyond time and space. And though we can sense, intuit, and even experience connection to that ephemeral realm, it encompasses realities the intellect is simply not equipped to grasp. Faith begins at the point where our sure knowledge ceases. So as we move into our meditation today, I encourage you to really kind of let these issues of faith and personal inventory sort of play in the back of your mind and see where that leads you. So I invite you to adjust your seat, sitting comfortably, and yet, you know, not too comfortable, not slumpy. So alert yet relaxed, the phrase I usually use. And I invite you to take a breath. Inhaling and exhaling fully and completely. You may want to deepen that breath a little bit, see if you can really fill the lower portion of your lungs. And then slowly and through an open mouth, exhaling. And one more time at your own pace. And then now returning to normal breathing without thinking about your breath too much. And allowing your attention to rest lightly on your breath and do a very brief body scan. We'll start at the top of the head. It's kind of like your hair, top of your head is melting. Just bring your attention now to your eyes and see if you can relax your eyes. Your eyes can be opened or closed. They can relax. So if they're opened, it's a really soft gaze. And now down to your mouth. Soft lips, soft jaw. And your shoulders, how low can your shoulders go? And as your shoulders are descending, your head is ascending up to the sky, elongating your neck. And let's move down the back. A nice straight spine. And sometimes we use the image of Jacob's ladder. A soft chest. And breathing right into that heart space. And just paying attention. How does my heart feel right now? No need to change anything, just noticing. And your belly. And wherever it is that you're making contact, in your backside, on a chair or a cushion, is that feeling secure and steady? In your hands, wherever it is that they are, maybe cupping one another, maybe on your thighs or on your knees or at your side. Simply noticing, paying attention. And your legs, how are they? And your feet. Taking in the whole body. And resting in your body. So as you begin to slowly deepen your breath and very slowly and mindfully begin to bring your attention back to the room, I'm going to read a piece from Yael Levy from her book, Directing the Heart. Accounting. As the book of Exodus draws to a close, the work to build the Mishkan, the dwelling place for the sacred presence, is complete. The Mishkan was created with generosity and love. It was fashioned by wise hearts and skillful hands. Every gift was honored, and each unique offering was of use. The Mishkan was placed at the center of the community, and the Kavod Hashem, the glory of the presence, emanated from within. The presence filled the camp and spoke to each heart. I dwell within and among you. Fashion your lives so as to know me. Weave your days so as to return to me again and again and again. Look for me everywhere. I am in your words and your deeds. I come through your intentions and the work of your hands. Find me at all times. I am with you in clarity and well-being. And I am with you in confusion, loneliness, and fear. Watch for me in darkness. See me in the light. I am the guide on the journey, and I am the journey itself. Lift up the Mishkan, carry the sacred center wherever you go, and practice so as to remember that in all your travels, wherever you go, wherever you are, I am there. So I am going to turn the recording off.